Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy November 17th. And I hope this video finds you well. It's been a quiet week. It's been a really quiet week as far as the flares go, right? As far as the flares go, because the flares have been mild. They've been like low level C's, low level M's, except for last Sunday when we started with an M9. So, I'm going to start with the flares. I'm going to say it's quiet, and then I'm going to sort of tell you why it's quiet and what's really going on. So, buckle up because here we go. So, I've got the space weather, and it takes a few steps to go back to this on the spaceweather.com. But as you can see, this was our last Sunday over here, and it was an M9.49, which means it was almost an X class flare just right after I recorded the video last week. And then this has been just M1, C8, M1, C2, M1, M1. It's just been really quiet. So there hasn't been any real huge flares that are coming in and stirring us up. However, because they're M1s, they're like poof, poof, like these little power things that are just coming in and they're real low level and they're saying, you know this already. Why do I have to keep reminding you to let go of more, let go of more, let go of more? But they're not shaking us really hard like an M8 or an M9. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So even though the flares have been quiet, there's been this weird sort of energy that has been circulating circling the Earth, and it's an energy like sine wave frequency. It could be in the geomagnetics. I'm not really sure. Other than the Earth's magnetic field, when it's measured, is what they call unsettled. It means that it's not quiet and it's not overly active. It's just not relaxed. Okay, which makes sense. And then there was this sort of interesting thing that Pam Youngins put up, that this big spike in the KP, that what she called a sine wave came in. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday when we would have felt it. And it just peaked up real fast, but it wasn't related to any solar flares. I thought that was interesting. So keep in mind that it's very odd to have it quiet because we're in solar flare cycle number 25. And this is an 11-year cycle. And so at November 2024, we're right here, which means we're going to peak up in 25 and 26, and then it's going to start dropping back down off again. So this chart tells us that we still have more to come, yet it's been quiet. So I have theories about that. I think that it's very much a compassionate effort to give us time to integrate all of the changes that are coming, that have happened, that are continuing to come. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So is my sound? Oh, my sound's on. There it is. Didn't see my little piece going. So Amanda Lawrence, she's this lovely, quiet, shy little introvert who puts out phenomenal information 2 or 3 times a year. And she said she put something out on Friday the 15th that said there's just this big new energy wave coming in. She could feel it coming. It was like a wave coming in. She could feel it coming, so she posted, "Ooh, new energy's coming in. Don't know really what it is." And then as it went through the day, what she said is this is a very different kind of energy, because in the past we've had these flares that have sort of come in and whacked us in the sore parts of our jaw, or in our head, or in our joints, or gone specifically after parts of our body that are dense. What she said is that this energy was like a whole body big warm hug, and I liked that because it was kind of like, you got this, you got this. So it was encouraging from Amanda Lawrence, especially after Lee Harris on November 1st in his energy report said this is the next 4 to 6 weeks of what we call the complex energy, which is that it's not sort of in your face. It's just constant moving, changing items. And so, it's going to knock us off balance. So when you have this, that we're in the period of 4 to 6 weeks of complex energy, and Amanda Lawrence is saying there's this nice warm energetic hug around us, it makes sense that it's like, let that happen. Right? Let that happen. Because what we are doing is we're integrating. We have an enormous decision made by a huge population of the American people to do something really different, to shut down the direction the world was going and to go a different direction, which means we're all in this spin of like what just happened. And now that there's all these appointments and these changes which are going in that new direction, it's like it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what's going on, or whoa, this is really big changes compared to what we've seen before, right? So what's happening is that the US election, the results of it, the momentum going has caused this huge ripple on our entire earth surface that is going to put us into energetic change. It makes sense, doesn't it? So it's affecting our breathing, it's affecting our nervous system, it's affecting what we observe, how we react to that. And that makes sense as well, that we're a little on edge, we're a little teetering on balance. So um when I talk about change, I go to the cards because this is the Osho Zen card. I have used this for years. I love this little guy because he's standing consciously in balance while the world, and you can see the sort of city here, you can see all of the energetic waves trying to knock him off. So this is the two of discs. So you have to be moment to moment as you're integrating all of this change. The way that Thoth does this is that it's, you have to be very conscious in your infinity sign, that you're constantly rebalancing, that it is an embracing of the consistency of change, right? And then what I like is, and I'll do this one in just a minute, because while we're dealing with this rift, this shift that's happening in our world from the US elections, and the P. Diddy stuff, and like just keep adding to it all of the things, and that the still struggling people in North Carolina from the hurricane. There's just like all of this stuff, right? So remember that we are in the last 2 days of Pluto in Capricorn. In September 1st, it went down into, here we are. Let's go back to this one, which we do every week. We went down in September 1st to peak out in retrograde, Pluto retrograde, and then stopping and going direct. And then here's November 19th, and we're like right here in November 17th. So we are 2 days away. We're not out of the woods yet. There's always those last 2 days. Think the last 48 hours, what could possibly go on, right? But on November 19th, we shift into Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So there's a different shift. And in some ways, I'm noticing that regardless of what's going on in our direct environment, what we're seeing is people are like, they're getting a little optimistic. They're getting a little hopeful. And so there's something that's broadening us and changing. And whether it's like, and that's where I wanted to show you this one, which is there's this deep density of matter in what we do on our physical world. And then this is the light, the spirit, the hopefulness. So when we have the balance of light, which is spirit, and then into the physicalness of matter, of physicality, right? This is how we go through change. We juggle it. We stay really conscious. We move with it. We keep it present in our mind because change is something that requires our attention. So with these two of discs, right, who represent change on every level, we're here to interact with physical matter. We're here to change our physical environment. And remember that the only thing that we can ever say that is constant is change. That things will always change. As soon as, and within our human energy system, because our cells are moving, our blood is moving, our focus is moving, there's anytime that we become sedentary, anytime that we become overly comfortable, then there's this movement to keep us growing and expanding because we don't want to get stagnant. So this is a big one. When we realize that we do better with change when we hold things in balance, when we create things. And so, like this guy jumped out when I was looking at the cards. So this is the Thoth, the knight, who's actually the king in the Crowley deck of discs. And this is a very different look for the king, because this is a warrior all dressed in, who's been battling, right? And the war is over and he's home and it's time to harvest, what's really happened. It's time to implement all of the changes of what they fought for. But the reason I wanted to bring this is, look at the resonating vibration that's coming off of him. It's like he's putting new things into motion that are about the changes that were fought for. How to adapt and flow and move with this without tension. Relax your body and put those things into flow. I like the way that the Queen of Pentacles does the same. She's holding the physical matter. She's at complete ease and rest. She's inside her own world, creating what she wants to have happen. Does that make sense? So we all go through our own versions of this. So, are you here? Are you here where you're just holding on by the skin of your teeth? What are you putting into effect? Because make no mistake, we've been dismantling the institutions of this world for the last 70 years. When the Indigos arrived, what we're going to say is mid to late 70s. What happened is that dismantling, like, that will no longer work. I'm going to hold this vibration. It's kind of like power washing on things until they start to crumble. So those institutions are instantly, well, I'm going to say instantly looking like now, well, what happened? They're falling apart, but we've been eking away at them for 70 years. We have been, well, let me do my math, for 30 years. Okay. I was thinking of a different scenario based on World War II. So sorry about that. So what's been happening is we've been dismantling regularly all the time anyway. So it's now going to show up in our education. It's going to show up in our health. It's going to show up in our finances. It's going to show up in our politics. And these new visions are going to start coming forward, and I love how, putting manifestation into earth form is on the Roeg. This is the 8 of discs. Within the light seers, this is the 8 of disc. I'm going to put things in motion to bring about change. That's what's happening. And I think when the flares quiet down, they're giving us an opportunity to sort of go our own way based on the energy, follow it, follow where it's going, what it's doing, and be entertained by it. Make sense? Okay, so these flares, they're playing a really large role in all of this, because what they've been doing is they've been pummeling us from the outside. They've been pummeling our energy systems. They've been dropping in light codes. They've been giving us freedoms from old stagnant cellular systems. So it's almost like the seed, when you feed the seed and it's inside of a shell, you feed it, and all of a sudden the shell goes crack and growth happens, really fast. You can put a seed as it cracks open onto a high speed camera, and then you can just boom, and it goes up really fast and turns into the plant that it was meant to be. I think we're at that period right now, and it may be very different than what we thought it was, because it has to be. Because this is, and you can go back to one of my previous videos where I talk about open loop and closed loop. So imagine closed loop, which is you come up with an idea and you ground it in, and you come up with an idea and you ground it in. And if we still repeat the same thing, like, I want to change the way that my perspective is, so I'm going to change the color of my sweater. That may help for a little while, but it still puts you back into that closed loop, because your behaviors and your choices are still always limited. What happens with, like, think of the Fibonacci or the fern pod, right? Is that when we open up, we're in new territory. We don't know what it's going to look like. We're curious. We're seeing things that we didn't know could exist. And so when we go to open loop imagination, open loop growth, I think that's where we are right now because that is the Aquarian energy. Okay. So, real quick, I have 6 tips for you. And before I go into the tips, just know that we do a discussion group on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And I'm going to stop doing the morning ones because there's just hasn't been enough interest. So if you want a different time other than that 5 p.m., please put it in the comments and tell me when you would like to come do a discussion if the 5 p.m. doesn't work for you. Okay. The other thing is down there, there's always the way to support me by buy a cup of coffee, PayPal, Venmo, or now's a really good time to get a tarot reading. I've had 3 this week from women who've been watching this video, and I'm so thankful that they did that. So thank you. All right. Tip number 1. Your body, your experiences with your body, our physical form, your awareness of how you've been living are in your face. Just know that. The tip is, we're going to get to the tip, but the thing is that it's in your face, right? For the last 2.5 months, as Pluto's been going through Capricorn, moving the things for the last 16 years that you got stuck on, that the decisions you made that didn't work, all of that is up, right? So you get to choose how you're going to navigate. So the idea, tip number 1, is start navigating. Start navigating through these choices because you're the one who has to steer it. You're the one who has to take charge of yourself. So tip number 1 is navigate. Navigate through your experiences, navigate through your what you've learned, navigate from this new awareness, okay? Number 2, expect that your nervous system will be on the edge because it's activated. Expect that your physical body is going to show you things that you're like, oh man, I didn't realize I could hurt like that in that way. Expect that you're in a period of chaos where it's challenging, it's clarifying, and you're moving towards change. Just expect that, because when you expect that, then you can prepare yourself to respond, right? And to do the nurturing, like, okay, things are changing. I don't like change. This is going to be hard. This has been hard in the past. Reframe it, right? And nurture yourself and prepare yourself to be responsive. Oh, it's going that way. How do I readapt and shift my coaching practice? How do I shift my services? How do I adapt to what's going on now? Okay, makes sense? Number 3, Lee Harris said, pull back. Now's the time to pull back to the bare minimum of anything that you're doing. Slow down or stop and look at, like, already the Black Friday sales. How much money do you want to spend? The holidays, we're going into the American Thanksgiving, and then the swirl of December, between holidays, between religious celebrations, between parties. Slow down or stop, right? Say no. Say no to the invitation, say no to the events, and you have to say no to other people's expectations. Maybe you always come home for Christmas. I'm not doing it this year. My system can't do that, because what we're doing is we're refusing to put more stress on our body. We're taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of our relationships, our children, our spouse, our family. And we're saying, I have a very full plate right now, and there's no room for anything else. So number 3 is pull back. Number 4 is renegotiate. It's my favorite word ever. I thought that this is what I wanted to do, and now the perspectives have changed, and I'm going to choose to do something else. That's the way we communicate with boundaries and directness to anyone we're involved with, is to renegotiate and say, this is where I thought I was going to go. This is where I'm going now. How do we create that? Or how do we part ways because we can't co-create that? It's very simple. It's really easy. So we advocate for ourselves. We use our communication skills, and we renegotiate in all things: job, relationship, eating habits, everything. Renegotiate. Number 5, be conscious. Now, being conscious is hard. It takes a lot of attention. It takes a lot of effort to just be here. It takes a lot of effort to juggle this and to juggle it with grace, right? So I read something in the in Eli's site, because he does a great job with explaining to me, for me, explaining tarot cards. So when he was talking about the two of discs of change, he was saying that we access, we become conscious, we access our energetic self, and we attract what we want. So we become conscious, energetic attractors. And I thought that's the best part about, well, who would be the best person? Oh, here, let's use her. Or let's use these guys, both of these, which is that we're consciously going to address what's going on. We're going to access and harness our energy, and we're going to attract and create what we want from that. So to be a conscious, energetic attractor, it's number 5. And number 6, be compassionate, because you have to remove judgment. You have to remove anger at yourself or at the world, that and remove all of that and hold compassion, because we're all going through this, and we're all going through this at our own individual level, and it is not easy. So compassion. Thank you, and I will see you on Tuesday in the discussion, or next Sunday. Take care.